Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, so I just want to introduce Laura Pennock. She is a professional face painter and has been coloring on people for 10 years. She's here today to teach us about face painting as an art form and to share tips and tricks to help anyone have fun with face painting at home. So take it away, Laura.
All right, thanks. Do we have any idea on how many people we've got here with us today?
Looks like we're around 20 folks.
Oh, awesome. Okay, fantastic. Well, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what I do, and I want to also help you understand, like she mentioned, what face painting is like as an art form. Often, face painters are grouped with something that you'd see at a carnival, and it's really fun, and that's great, and that's wonderful. That's exactly where I want to be. That's exactly what I want to do. I love having a job where I get to help people be happy, and so this is just a simple example of some of my work. You may have seen this doubles as my business card, so this is around Lawrence. But I want to show you guys how face painting is an incredible way to use and develop art skills or an art interest that you might already have. And so face painters use all of the same tools that a regular painter would use. And so where we start is we start by being inspired by something. Either there's a little kid at school carnival, or a kid, a grandkid, whoever that really wants you to paint their face. And so you're like, okay, how do I do this? One of the simplest ways to start is just by sketching on paper. So I have this to where I just print this out. And then as I'm looking at a new idea, instead of going straight to a face that can be really intimidating, I can just start to draw and color with some color pencils and to see how will it look if I add this cute little face with the butterfly wing or something. So it doesn't have to be something that like from day one, you're going straight onto somebody's face, because there is a certain amount of how do I do that? How do I get there? And that's what I'm here to tell you today. But I want you to know that if you are feeling uncomfortable and you need that bridge space, we can totally make that happen with just paper and pen. Okay, so here are some of the tools that I use every time I face paint, and I'm going to teach you the names of these brushes, because as we go forward, and I'm going to do a couple examples for you guys, I want you to know what we're using. So paintbrushes come in all shapes and sizes, and everything that I use has a purpose. So the first one I want to show you, here, we'll move these to the side, are the flat brushes. Flat brushes are really great in face painting because they pick up a lot of paint. You get this really nice wide, this is 3/4 inch, this one's a 1/2 inch. This one is actually the same size, but the bristles are longer. And so every time we change some little thing about our tool, what it's going to be able to do for us also changes. This is called a filbert. They make this in all kinds of sizes as well. So this is a 1/2 inch. This one is small enough. It has a number. This is a number 8. Anyway, but this is really nice because it's round. It gives a softer look when you're painting with it. And I'll show that to you too. Then we have another flat brush, but instead of being all the way flat, it's angled. So they've come and they've cut the bristles off at this sharp angle. And what that allows us to do is, as we are laying down paint with this, it's going to give us a beautiful flow. And that's really fun to do. Okay, so then the next one is that we have these little brushes, and these are called round brushes. And this is what most people think of if you were to give anybody a pencil and say, draw me a picture of a paintbrush. They would probably draw a round brush. And this is what's used if you're doing lettering or you're doing, any kind of like basic painting. You're likely to start with a round brush because they work a lot like a pen or pencil. And then this little guy is just a high density foam sponge. This is really nice because you can see, compared to the biggest brush I showed you, this has a whole lot more surface area. And so I can put a lot of color down with one of these. And one of the reasons that face painting is so important right now, and it's so important to work on it and to learn it right now, is because of social distancing. Face painters like myself aren't able to be there with your sweet little kids in your life. And so these kids don't have access to face painting right now without you. So we must paint the children. But it's really fun to do. And so that's another reason that I love it. But being a professional face painter for the last 10 years has really taught me a lot about skin, and it's taught me a lot about people and about faces and all of those kinds of things. So here we have this little fellow. And I'm going to show you guys, actually, let's start with a girl. I'm going to show you guys how to paint a butterfly on her. And it's really fun to do. Face paint, when you buy it, it comes in something like this. It can come in a square or it can come in a circle. And these are called cakes. It's really important. My job really is the best. I get to buy cake, you know, for work, right? But it has all of the ingredients on the back, and the ingredients in your face paint are things that are often found in makeup. So it's really important that if you like the look of this and you're like, hey, I want to do some painting, that you get professional face paint, because using just acrylic paint or watercolor paint, it's not going to be as fun for you, and it's also sometimes not as safe for the kid's skin. So everything that is in professional face makeup is something that's been planned to be put on a human body, and so that's really important. If you're looking to buy some, feel free. My business name is Fairy Fox Design. So feel free to reach out if you need any help finding really good makeup. I'd love to help you do that. But know that you can also get it local. If you go to Michael's, they have a brand called Snazaroo. And that can be a really great place to start, but it's not my favorite brand. So I would buy online and wait for it to come in the mail myself. But okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do, clowns have been wearing makeup for a long time, and clown face paint is a grease or oil-based paint, and it's really smeary, it's really yucky. If you've ever had experience with like Halloween painting and you buy the paint from Walmart or whatever, and it's just gross, that's not what we're using. This is all going to be water-based, and so in order to activate it, we're just going to use water. And so I'm going to spray this, but I don't want it to get over here, so I'm spraying it off screen. But so now I have a damp sponge, and I can come over to this cake and I can just load up all of these fun colors. And you can see that that sponge, in just a few little swipes, is picking up all of that great color. And then we go over to the face, and it's really important that we protect the kid's eyes and that we protect the kid's mouth. And so whenever you're going to put color by the eyes, you want to make sure you ask them to close their eyes, you ask them to hold still, and then as we bounce, we're just bouncing up and down right there, we want to just be nice and gentle. It can be easy to get excited and start pushing really hard, and we don't want to do that to their little eyes. So we put some color on that side, come over here, reverse our sponge and get some color over on this side. And then we can add it over on this side and down over on this side. And so already you can see we have a butterfly shape, and it's coming. And it can be hard to get it really good. And if you guys wanted to learn more, I do teach classes online and also in person, and so I'd be happy to help you out. If this is like, oh my gosh, I need more of this, we can certainly make that happen. But as you can see, we might not be thrilled with the shape of this butterfly, especially if we're first starting out. It can be kind of intense. And so the beautiful thing is, because it's water-based, a wet wipe just rolled around our finger, we can go to the kid's face and we can just wipe off any paint that we're not happy with. And we can clean that up. We can come over to this side and we can clean that up. And now it looks wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to show you two different methods and techniques on how to finish this design. The first one, I'm going to use an angled brush. So this is a 1/2-inch angle brush. And there are all different kinds of techniques in face painting. And I'm going to introduce you to a couple of them. But this is called one stroking, and this will be familiar if you've ever done any toll painting. This is really similar. And so I have these cakes that have been put into this case, and you can see that they're striped. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to load multiple colors at once by going back and forth nice and slow across my paint. I can get all of those colors on the same paintbrush. So then I'm going to take that load and I'm going to just slide it right along here. So I'm going to start on one edge. Let me see if I can get my hand out of the way so that you can see what's going on. We're just going to pull down nice and slow, right, like that. And that gives us a line. Now what we're doing is we're giving a boundary. In illustration, a boundary line is where we can now see what's happening inside and outside of the form. And so this line is now saying this is the wing and that is not the wing. Then we just come back up here, we lay our brush down, and we are just going to wiggle it and then pull it in. We're going to wiggle it again and pull it in, and then we might just scoop it down a little bit. So that's our top wing. Now we can come here and draw that same first start line that we did before. We can wiggle it and scoop in, and then maybe we want to do a couple little loops. And you can see that you can just shift this shape to be all kinds of different shapes, different sizes. It just makes it so beautiful. And then up here, I'm going to just put in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to come down, swooping again, and then I'm going to just wiggle right in front there. Okay, so here is our first wing over here. Now I'm going to show you a different finish for this wing over here, because we might as well, right? If we're going to learn a little, let's learn a lot. I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get a round brush, and I'm going to just get it wet because that's how we activate our paint. And one of the very most important things to do while we're painting is we want to get what's called a load, a really good load. So I'm just adding water from the paintbrush onto that paint. And this is just, it's a lot like watercolor as I'm adding the water. But then as I mix it, I'm turning it into almost like an acrylic consistency. And so I want it to be nice and creamy and just ready to paint with. So we've almost got that there. Okay. Awesome. And then we're going to just outline over here on this side. So we can do that same motion where we give ourselves a boundary line that says this is the inside of the butterfly and the outside right there. And then look how different this looks. We add that little wiggle and we pull in. And then we can pull in again. And then we can just do a nice swirl right there on the edge. Then here on this side, we can pull in, and then I like to pull in down at the bottom. So now I have my beginning of my wing and my end that have both been defined, and now I just connect them. We just pull that up together, maybe put in another couple little loops. Okay, so face painting is done in stages or in layers, and you can see we've got our first layer, which is the color that we put on, and then we put in the next layer, which is the boundaries, and now we get to put in the detail work. And so detail work is anytime we're changing the form to be a little bit prettier. I'm going to add one more little bit right there. Okay, so let's come in here and let's just add some little dots. I'm going to get a little more paint on my brush. We're going to just add these little dots right under her eye over here, and let's put those same dots over here. And when you're practicing on paper, it's hard because they don't know how to close their eyes. So we have to help them. There we go. Now she doesn't look like she can't see. All right, so we have those great little dots. And then on this wing up here, there's a lot of empty space. And so we can add in a little bit more interest there. I like to try and keep line work off of the eyelid, but we can just maybe add a couple little swoops right there and a little teardrop. And we can add a couple more teardrops right here. And you can see, really, this kid would have been happy with the first time we smudged color. Face painting is one of the most forgiving arts because the consumer is a little kid. And little kids will eat all kinds of strange things. They, like those squeezy Kool-Aid bottles. The first time I had one of those as an adult, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I think this was the best thing created for? So it's really nice as an artist, especially if you're artistic and you enjoy expressing yourself, but you might not be as confident to be like, oh, here's my grand oil painting I'm going to put in my living room. Painting faces is a great way to go because it makes the kids happy and they're easy to please. Okay, so now we can do another swirly line, maybe right here, to just add a beautiful little end to that wing. And that's so fun. And then, of course, we need to put something here in the middle to be our little butterfly body. Add a couple more little teardrops. And we can definitely dress it up with just, this is one of the things that face painters often do at the end. We add some little dots and then just some little stars. And that just makes everything look magical. So we have that. And then over here, of course, this side already looks beautiful, but we can do some of that line work as well over here. So maybe add a few little teardrops right there. Maybe add a couple just right over here on this side. Add a couple more. Anywhere that you're not really happy with how it's looking, As an artist, that's just a signal to you to say, hey, keep going. You're not done yet. We can add a nice little swirl right there on the corner. And yeah, I can keep going forever, but it's really fun. And then one of the things kids love the most is they like to be grown up. And so if you have them close their eyes, we can do just a little bit of eyeliner. And you want to be real careful that your paint isn't very wet when you do the eyeliner so it doesn't run into their eyes. But that's just such a fun way to make them feel all grown up and beautiful. And then before you show them in the mirror for the grand reveal, they make all kinds of really fun, sparkly glitters and stuff that will stick to the paint. And so if you want to use glitter, you want to make sure that it's cosmetic glitter. You can get sparkles that are cosmetic at like Sally's or anywhere that sells professional face paint also sells the glitter, so you can buy it there. But you can just add this little shimmery base that, here, I can show you. These are my other glitters that are loose. And so I just open one up and I dip my finger in. And if you do this, just know that you will find glitter for the rest of your life wherever you're doing it. So we like that, but you can see that we can just put that sparkle right on top of that paint and it just makes it even more magical. And so it's so much fun to have the chance to spend time with kids in a way that the kids really love. It's not like, oh, come talk to me and I'm gonna ask you, so how are you doing in school? You know, kids, they like answering those questions sometimes, but when you go up to them and you say, what do you want painted on your face? What do you want to be? All of a sudden, you're inviting them to use their creativity and their spontaneity. Be like, I want to be a tiger. I want to be a superhero. And it gets so exciting for them and they're so happy and they get to feel special and important and you get to spend time in their world as a cool person. I've had some really special experiences with kids in the last 10 years where I'll be at the grocery store and a little 4-year-old will recognize me as the face painter and they'll kind of hide behind their mom and like peek around and wave at me, you know, and there's just the way that you are able to connect and communicate with them is so incredibly special. And it's such an amazing part of my life that I have certainly missed during this time of social distancing, but you can see just how much fun that is. Okay, now I know that we wanted some time for question and answers at the end, and I also have more models if we have time for another design. I'm not quite sure. What do you guys think?
We've got about 7 minutes, Laura.
Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any questions, or I can just show you one more design if we want to see a little boy design maybe?
Yeah, we're not having any questions quite yet. If you wanted to do another quick design, that would be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's show something that a little guy might like. All right, so we're gonna just start out and we're gonna use a pink color, even though guys wouldn't like pink because it's the color that I have out and ready. So we're gonna actually boys like pink quite a lot and they like sparkle. It's been really surprising to me as I've given that as a choice. A lot of guys are like, yes, that's what I want. It's like, sweet. Okay. So sometimes we don't have the time to paint the entire face, or it's too expensive to paint the whole face, or there are a lot of different reasons why we might need to know other designs. The kid might not want to have their whole face painted. And so it's really nice to take the time to learn some other things too. And so this is a smaller design, but it's still so incredibly fun. So what we can do is we can actually draw the little creature. And so here I'm just going to bring and do a little bump right there. And then I'm going to come up and do another one. So we have that little face. This is really, think of like the shape of a pear. So it's a pear, it's a peanut, something like that. And then we're going to just scoop from the back and we're going to draw an S all the way down, right like that. And then, of course, we need to have a little bit of fierceness there. Okay, this is awesome. And then we can just bring this down like that. And we'll add a tail because of course we need a tail. Okay. So this is going to be a dragon, and I absolutely love dragons. Painting animals is my favorite of all of the, superheroes and different genres of face painting. Animals is definitely my favorite, but among the animals, there are these magical animals like unicorns and dragons, where we get to change whatever we want because nobody really knows what a dragon looks like. And so if we want to add some fun colors or we want to add some fun different shapes, we totally can. So anytime we have a dragon, of course, we need to get some fire because that's super fun. And then we can also do really fun different things with this, the detail work. And so let's put in a really fun stomach for this little dragon. And so we know that right here we've got his neck and his body. So we're just going to come in here and we're going to just lay down our brush. So it's almost like a stamp, and we're just kind of stamping it down. There we go. Now he's got an awesome tummy. And then as long as we're here with this fun color, let's go ahead and add in a couple of horns up here, and we can add a little horn there. And then, yeah, let's add a horn down here. Okay. So then this next part is called line work. It's where we define all of the forms with black lines. And this can be really intimidating, but it can also be really fun because it lets us say, we can talk about how the little critter we're drawing is feeling. We can make him happy or sad. If we want a little more texture on our drawing, we can just add these little dots. And then we can just tap our finger, and you can see now this dragon looks like he's got scales going on, which is super fun. So then what we want to do is we want to get a small brush. The smaller brushes make it really nice to get those really tight little details in. So I'm going to just grab some black. And skin is amazing because it will actually absorb some of the water that you paint with. And so when you're painting on skin instead of on plastic like this, it dries incredibly fast. And it makes it really nice because kids don't like to sit still for a long time. And so you're able to really get in there and get things done in a way that isn't going to make the kid, be upset and be wiggling on you. Okay, so then anything that we want to add at this point, we totally can. We can outline the horns or this frill. Over here, we can give him, mean iris, come down here and just do the cool jaw.
Laura, we have a quick question.
Okay.
They're wanting to know if people hire you for parties or what kind of events that you're hired for.
Yeah, so I show up in all kinds of places. I've painted there at the library before. I definitely am hired for private work. So I come to homes, I come to, companies. I do company picnics and stuff. It really is, I'm an artist for hire. So yeah, I show up all over.
And one more question. It looks like maybe two more. Are there any face paints that are made specifically for sensitive skin?
Honestly, in the 10 years that I've been doing this, I have had 2 situations where kids reacted to the paint. So all professional face paint has been made for skin, and so sensitive skin is kind of the same. The 2 instances that I've experienced, one was with an adhesive. It wasn't even the paint, and she had an allergy to adhesives. And so the other one, there was just something, I think he may have had issues with red food dye, and it was a red paint, and so there was something in the color red that was hard for him. So it really isn't something that I've experienced a lot, but I know you can always do the test on the skin where you just put a little bit on and then you see if a rash develops or something, then you just ignore it. The nice thing about skin sensitivity and face paint is that even if it's irritating, it's not like it's dangerous, and I'm not trying to say if your kid's sensitive that, oh yeah, it's fine if it itches them. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. But there's a little bit less risk than with like a food allergy, that it's like, it's not worth the risk. You know, you can always just paint that little circle on the arm and see if they're going to tolerate the paint. But I really haven't had too many problems.
Cool. Let me see. One more question. If you were to make a really small drawing, would you still use multiple colors like your examples?
Okay, so if I'm just drawing like on the cheek or something, I have the color there. I love the color. So yes, I'm going to use the color. But one of my favorite designs, let me grab it, it's off camera. But I have so much fun doing all kinds of painting. And so just going through all of Sorry. All right, so like here's a really fun example right here where we were just trying to do something really tough for a little guy. And it's just black. And it was really fun. Here's one, and this is multiple colors, but you can see that if we did just the white, that would be absolutely beautiful. And so really there is no limit to the imagination, except for the limits of the imagination to what you can do with face paint. I've been able to help people get ready at a wedding. I've been able to do prom stuff. You know, it's so fun. You've got this beautiful dress. Well, then why not add body art? You know, it's really, anytime you're looking to make something special, body painting or face painting is a really fun way to do it.
Thank you so much, Laura.